The Galactic Council had made their decision with the cold efficiency of a species that had never known true predation. Ambassador Zethkar's 6 eyes gleamed with satisfaction as he transmitted the ultimatum to the primitive world, designated Terra 3. The humans have 72 standard cycles to evacuate their homeworld, he announced to the assembled representatives of 47 civilizations. Their system contains resources vital to the hegemony's expansion. We have been generous in our timeline. The other ambassadors chittered and buzzed their approval. The Vorthan collective nodded their crystalline heads in unison, while the insectoid Krelax clicked their mandibles approvingly. Humanity was just another obstacle to be moved aside. Soft, short-lived creatures who had barely mastered basic fusion technology. They had observed the humans for 3 standard years, cataloging their weaknesses. No natural armor, no venom, no telepathic abilities. They lived pitifully short lives of less than a century. Their military technology was crude, their ships slow and cumbersome. Most damning of all, they seemed incapable of unified action, constantly warring among themselves over trivial differences. The galaxy had seen thousands of species like this. They would protest, perhaps resist briefly, then submit or be eliminated. It was the natural order. But Ambassador Chenwei had sat through the entire session in silence, her dark eyes never leaving Zethkar's face. When the ultimatum was delivered, she stood slowly, the only human in a chamber designed for beings far larger than her species. 72 cycles, she repeated, her voice carrying an odd weight that made several ambassadors shift uncomfortably. And if we refuse? Zethkar's feeding tentacles writhed with amusement. Then you will be removed by force. Your species will be relocated to reservation worlds more suitable to your limited capabilities. Chenwei smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. You've studied us for 3 years, she said, walking toward the center of the chamber with predatory grace that suddenly reminded everyone present that humans were bipedal persistence hunters. But you've made a critical error in your analysis. And what error is that, primitive? Zethkar's tone dripped condescension. You assume we've been showing you our teeth. The transmission ended there. The council dismissed her words as typical, human bravado, empty threats from a species facing extinction. They learned otherwise 48 hours later. The first sign came when every hegemony monitoring station in the Sol system went dark simultaneously. Not destroyed, simply dark, their signals cut with surgical precision that suggested technology far beyond what humans were supposed to possess. The second sign was the appearance of ships, not the clunky chemical propulsion vessels the Council had catalogued, but sleek predators that moved through space like hunting cats. They emerged from behind Luna, from the asteroid belt, from the shadow of Jupiter, a coordinated deployment that spoke of preparation spanning decades. Admiral Sarah Cross stood on the bridge of the UES Predator's edge, her weathered face illuminated by tactical displays showing enemy positions throughout 3 star systems. Behind her, the combined might of humanity's true fleet powered up weapon systems that had never appeared in any intelligence report. Open a channel to all hegemony vessels, she commanded. The response came immediately from the Vorthan dreadnought, shattering light. Impossible! Your species lacks faster-than-light communication. Cross smiled with the same cold expression Ambassador Chen had worn. Admiral Vexthal, I presume. You're correct. We lack your quantum entanglement networks. We developed something better. The proof came as every hegemony ship in 7 systems received the same message simultaneously, transmitted through a web of artificial wormhole relays that had been secretly constructed over 20 years. You cataloged our weaknesses, Crossy continued, her voice carrying across space to shake the confidence of species who had ruled the galaxy for millennia. But you never asked about our strengths. We're persistence hunters, Admiral. We don't give up, we don't stop, and we never ever fight fair. The demonstration that followed was surgical. Hegemony ships that had ruled space lanes for centuries found themselves outmaneuvered by craft that shouldn't exist, outgunned by weapons based on principles they'd never encountered, and outthought by tactical systems that turned their own strengths against them. The Krelax hive ships, supposedly invulnerable behind their bioshields, discovered that humans had spent decades studying their captured scouts and had developed targeted viral agents that made their living armor turn against them. The Vorthon, crystalline matrices, immune to energy weapons and kinetic projectiles alike, shattered under the focused harmonics of sonic disruptors that humans had originally designed for mining asteroids. The gas giant dwelling Nethys, who thought themselves safe in the crushing atmosphere of their homeworld, watched in terror as human deep-sea exploration technology, adapted for even more extreme conditions, brought the war to their very doorstep. But it wasn't the technology that broke the hegemony's will. It was the realization of what humanity truly was. They weren't the weak, divided primitives the galaxy had observed. They were apex predators who had been patient enough to wait, clever enough to misdirect, and ruthless enough to let their enemies come to them. Every human conflict the Council had cataloged hadn't been weakness. It had been practice. Every defeated human military hadn't been destroyed. It had been recruited into a shadow fleet that grew stronger with each apparent loss. They had spent 3 years watching humanity's left hand while the right hand prepared to strike. The war lasted 6 standard days, not because the hegemony lacked the strength to fight longer, but because they lacked the will to continue once they understood what they truly faced. Ambassador Chen Wei stood before the same Galactic Council, but the chamber was different now. The 47 civilizations were represented, but they no longer sat in positions of authority. They were petitioners, seeking terms from the species they had tried to erase. "The galaxy is vast," Chen said, her voice carrying to every world, in the hegemony through communication networks that now served humanity's purposes. "There's room for all of us, but there are new rules now." She gestured to the holographic display showing human ships patrolling trade routes that had once belonged exclusively to hegemony members. "You saw us as prey," she continued, her smile sharp as a blade. "But Earth's apex predator isn't the lion or the shark. It's the hairless ape that figured out how to throw rocks, control fire, and never stop coming." Zethkar, his feeding tentacles now trembling with something that might have been fear, dared to speak. What do you want from us?" Chen's expression softened slightly, but her eyes remained hard as diamond. "What we've always wanted, Ambassador, to be left alone to live our lives in peace. The difference is now you know the price of disturbing that peace." She turned to leave, then paused at the chamber's entrance. "Oh, and Ambassador? The 72 cycles you gave us to evacuate? We've decided that's exactly how long the hegemony has to adjust to the new reality. We suggest you use the time wisely." The predator had shown its teeth. The galaxy would never make the mistake of underestimating humanity again.